Well, with that playing of the familiar theme song, it's time to go out to the west coast of the United States and check in with Michael Snyder and find out what's happening in the movies. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Alex, and hey, listeners. Hope everybody's having a lovely time of it. You know, summer movie season is in full force, meaning it's peak time for major movie studios to roll out their most familiar brands, franchises, and big budget action movies, and that means sequels or reimaginings galore because, you know, there's no paucity of creativity out here in Hollywood. A couple of those sequels top this weekend's list, so let's get to it. We'll lead off with Men in Black International. Did we need a new Men in Black movie? The Men in Black, of course, a super secret organization dedicated to preserving humans' freedom from, you know, I guess secret alien invasions. I don't know. Anyway, I questioned the original movie from the late 90s having sequels, you know, in 2002 and 2012, but they were actually comedy gold with sci-fi spies played by Will Smith as the novice Agent J, and Tommy Lee Jones as the veteran Agent K, taking on wacky and sometimes dangerous alien invaders in a bunch of conflicts that, again, the masses knew nothing about. All three of these movies with Agents J and K were lively and funny. Men in Black International was meant to revive and carry on the escapades of the earlier trilogy with new agents. Agent H, a handsome, decorated man played by Thor himself, Chris Hemsworth, and Agent M, a resourceful novice agent, a woman played by another Avengers cast member, and Thor foil, Tessa Thompson, who was Valkyrie in the Avengers films and Thor Ragnarok. Of course, there are better special effects now. Wilder aliens, big dimensional rifts, exotic locales. It is international, after all. And in the post-Me Too era, it also gives its female co-star, and sorry about this, agency. She's quite proactive about joining the Men in Black, even if her hero's actions and hero's journey aren't given the depth they deserve. In fact, motivations for characters and actions are in short supply here, as the star's very easy chemistry and some great chases and visual achievements aren't enough to counter the feeble humor and haphazard storytelling. Always reliable Emma Thompson is back here from MIB3 as the head of the agency in New York, and Liam Neeson comes on board as Agent H's ex-partner and the head of the European division, with Kumail Nanjiani playing the voice of a kind of a minuscule alien sidekick. It's kind of the moments of humor. Rebecca Ferguson is a dangerous, kind of freaky woman spy. Rafe Spall, a rival agent. F. Gary Gray directed. He's probably best known for Friday, The Fate of the Furious, and Straight Outta Compton, all of which are better movies than this. This here is product and mediocre at best, despite all the talent and eye candy. Boy, a bargain matinee at very, very best. Shaft is a continuation of the 70s movies about a suave, deadly, and super funky detective from Harlem who's a deadly enemy of gangsters and a regular sex machine with the ladies. This new Shaft, with the same name as the original movie that starred debonair Richard Roundtree as John Shaft, and the 2000 movie that starred Samuel L. Jackson as either his nephew or his son, John Shaft II, features the heedless and hedonistic Shaft number 2 and his straight arrow son, John Shaft Jr., or Shaft III. It gets confusing here. Anyway, this third Shaft was raised by his independent-minded single mother, played by Regina Hall, and he has pursued a righteous path as an FBI analyst until Junior's best friend, a Muslim-American military vet, dies and Junior needs Daddy Shaft's help to crack the case. Alas, it's played for base laughs, which sometimes hit, but more often than not miss. I mean, it's always fun to watch Sam Jackson. Richard Roundtree has a small role in this thing, so, you know, they're honoring the source material, if you will. There have been 4 Shaft movies now before this one. And all I can say about this is it's another Shaft movie. Tim Story directed, He's the guy who first came to prominence with Barbershop, then screwed the pooch with a couple of Fantastic Four movies, did Think Like a Man and Ride Along. And his next movie after Shaft is a live-action animation mix of Tom and Jerry, the old slapstick cartoon characters. Hackery. That sounds like what Tim Story is up to here. Shaft, again, bargain matinee at very best. Let's wrap up with a movie that I actually thought had merit. American Woman. Sometimes small movies have big impact. If nothing else, the blue-collar drama American Woman, about a 30-something single mom who lives in a rural Pennsylvania town, gives UK glamour girl Sienna Miller the best role of her career to date, and she's up to the task. This woman named Deb works as a waitress, stays out late to party, and gets involved with less than ideal men, but she's thrust into a crisis when her teenage daughter, an unwed mother herself, goes missing, forcing Miller's character to look after her infant grandson while the police search for her daughter. There's an interesting cast supporting here, and that includes Amy Madigan, who plays Deb's aging and reproachful mom, Mad Men's Christina Hendricks, and Mad TV's Will Sasso as Deb's judgmental but loving sister and brother-in-law, and Aaron Paul of Breaking Bad as a younger man who might be Deb's salvation. But it's Sienna Miller who carries the load here, and for all the soapier melodramatic aspects and kitchen sink drama that give the movie's tragedy a certain kind of mundane, exhausting vibe, Miller brings real depth, warmth, and even some sassy pluck to the character of Deb. She makes you care, and that makes American Woman worth your time. Late Night, which we reviewed last week, is opening wider today, and The Dead Don't Die, a new Jim Jarmusch film about zombies, a zombie apocalypse with Bill Murray leading the cast. It was kind of screened against Shaft, so I ended up, I guess, taking the short straw, the Shaft straw. What are you watching, buddy?
Nothing to speak of. I did go to the theater last week and see To Kill a Mockingbird with Jeff Daniels, and I walked away going, And what I did is I went back and I watched the original movie, which I'd only seen for the first time about a couple of years ago and was not all that overwhelmed with, because it had been so oversold to me over the years that I was expecting God on earth. And I went back and rewatched it and suddenly decided it's maybe one of the greatest movies ever made. And I then rewatched it with Marjorie for a second time over the weekend and came away with the same feeling that the Broadway show is about the trial and the movie is about the kids. And I think the Broadway show is not very good. So that's my take on that. Little theater review here.
Oh, there you go. It's almost like the movies where they feel compelled on the theater level to make and remake things that are already proven in other media. Or just revive stuff, but that's what you got to expect. Yeah. Speaking of revivals, I just want to quickly note that one of the guilty pleasures I've been watching on streaming is the third season of Designated Survivor about the president we wish we had, played by Kiefer Sutherland. That's out there now if you're interested.
Well, I'm sorry that you just caught up with it. It was, I thought, a pretty good show, actually.
Very entertained, but again, maybe it's wish fulfillment to see a guy with nobility and actual humanity in the Oval Office. I forget what that's like,
Yeah. Also, I watched. This is strange. There's a thing called TCM online, and you can get it on Apple TV, and you can get it on Roku, and it's really great because they all the movies they've shown during the week wind up there for at least a week or two. And I just happened to see that Cleopatra was playing, so I watched all of Cleopatra. And something, in retrospect, years later, not that bad a film, worth a rewatch if you have 4 hours and 4 minutes. But I was amazed that the performances were solid, and the writing was solid, and the direction was solid, and I think it was a picture that got just leveled because of the histrionics behind the making of it. So anyway,
didn't it win Oscar for Best Supporting Asp?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Anyway, that's it.
Wait a minute. Let me start the theme so you can do your wrap up. There we go.
Okay, you can check me out on Twitter at Culture Blaster and on Michael Snyder's Facebook Culture Blast page and on GABNet. Thanks, Alex.
Okay, and we'll see you again next week, Michael. For those of you listening to us 24/7, there's more GABNet coming right up. And for those of you listening to this on demand, hey, look at all those shows below it. You might check those out, too. See you next week, Michael.